Lee Summit and Blue Springs are 15 minutes apart, but Lee Summit is nearly double the size. The median home price runs about $19,000 higher, and it has over $1 billion in active development that Blue Springs simply doesn't have. So is Lee Summit actually worth the premium, or is Blue Springs the smarter play? I've sold homes in both of these markets for over a decade. I'm going to walk you through 6 categories head to head, and by the end, you'll know exactly which one is right for you. What kind of city are you getting? Lee Summit has a population of 108,842. Blue Springs, 60,539. That's not a small difference. Lee Summit is nearly double the size. But size isn't just about numbers. Lee Summit has a full downtown district with restaurants, events, a brand new year-round farmers market, and a growing art scene. Blue Springs has charming small town feel, but it doesn't have the same walkable urban core. If downtown access matters to you, that's a real differentiator. I'll put it this way, Lee Summit's downtown is on steroids compared to downtown Blue Springs. Both towns have shopping, dining, and bar restaurant scenes, but Lee Summit has way more businesses and restaurants in their downtown area. The whole area has been updated too. Trees, building exteriors, the streetscape looks sharp. Blue Springs downtown still has some older storefronts. The streets are a bit wider, so parking is easier, but it's just not the same feel. Lee Summit downtown has actually won national awards. That's not an opinion, that's documented. Where does your money go further? Here's the headline: Lee Summit median home price sits at $352,000 with homes averaging 32 days on the market. Blue Springs is at $310,000 with 33 days on market. That's a $42,000 gap. Both markets are seeing sellers get 99% of list price, and Lee Summit is up 2.6 per year over year, while Blue Springs dipped 1.59% month over month. In Blue Springs, $310,000 gets you a solid 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage in a decent neighborhood. In Lee Summit, you'll find similar square footage around that same range, but the most desirable neighborhoods push well above that. Lee Summit is by far the most competitive real estate market on the Missouri side, south of the river in the Kansas City metro area. Blue Springs has lower prices and less competition, and I've had plenty of clients who've gravitated to Blue Springs for exactly that reason. It's not as competitive, it's more affordable, and property taxes are a little cheaper too. All of that plays into the ultimate house payment and what someone can actually afford. The schools are sometimes a deciding factor for most families. Lee Summit R7 ranks 52nd out of 553 districts in Missouri. That's top 10%. Math proficiency is 54% versus a state average of 40%. Reading is 53% versus 43%. Here's the truth, both Lee Summit and Blue Springs are pretty similar when it comes to the quality of education. Lee Summit is a bigger district. They have a 3rd high school that Blue Springs doesn't, but both provide an excellent education. One thing a lot of people don't realize is that both districts have a strong special education department. So if you have a child with special needs, either one of these is a good school district to land in. If schools are the #1 factor and you can stretch your budget, Lee Summit's test scores edge ahead in the rankings. But if schools are important without there being a singular driver, Blue Springs delivers strong education at a lower cost of entry. How connected are you? Lee Summit sits about 19 miles from downtown Kansas City, roughly 26 to 27 minutes on a good day. Blue Springs is slightly further east, and depending on where you are in the city, you're looking at a 30 to 35-minute drive. Both have highway access to Interstate 70 and Interstate 470. Lee Summit also has an Amtrak service and a direct bus line, Route 550, that goes downtown. This is actually a bigger deal than people realize right now. From Lee Summit, I have 3 different routes to get to downtown Kansas City. 2 of them, however, end up on Interstate 70, which is the same direction you'd take from Blue Springs. But Lee Summit also has an alternative route that goes a little to the west and doesn't touch I-70 at all. Why does that matter? Well, because Interstate 70 is under major reconstruction right now. They're adding a lane in both directions, east and westbound, and they're tearing down bridges and rebuilding them all the way from Blue Springs and further east into the downtown area. Actually, next year, Interstate 70 will be completely shut down for 8 months from downtown Kansas City to Interstate 435 to complete a lot of the work. That's creating real traffic jams and wait times depending on what's going on. So if you commute daily, Lee Summit gives you an escape route that Blue Springs doesn't without adding another 15 to 20 minutes to your drive. If your job is east of Kansas City, Independence, Green Valley, or you work remote, Blue Springs might actually put you in a better position geographically, but the downtown commute, Lee Summit has the edge right now. Where is the momentum? Lee Summit has over $1.4 billion in active development projects. Discovery Park alone is 268 acres of mixed use on the Interstate 470 corridor, nearly 2,800 luxury apartments, hotels targeting the FIFA World Cup in 2026, and a downtown market plaza transforming the core of the city. Then there's Oldham East Village, 481 million mixed-use development at 291 and 50 Highway South. 130 acres, Costco, Chick-fil-A, Q39 barbecue, Starbucks, plus 300 plus apartment units in phase 2. The Costco alone is a massive regional draw and hopes to be open by Thanksgiving 2026. Plus, the Mormon Church has listed 1,860 acres for development. This generational scale growth. The growth in Lee Summit has really accelerated home values, especially in the neighborhoods that were built several years ago. As new phases got built over 3, 4, 5 years, they pushed the older sections up dramatically. A couple that come to mind, Eagle Creek, which is south of town, those homes were in the high 3s and 4s, and now they're over $600,000. Same thing up north with Parks Ridge and Dalton's Ridge. Both had older sections, then they built newer sections in those subdivisions, and prices have increased drastically. Blue Springs is a more stable, established market. There's growth, but it's incremental, not transformational. If you're buying for appreciation, Lee Summit has the stronger trajectory. If you want predictability with the lower entry cost, Blue Springs is the play. What does daily life feel like? Lee Summit has more restaurants, more events, more retail, and a more developed downtown scene. If you want to walk to dinner on a Friday night, Lee Summit gives you that. Blue Springs has a tighter-knit community feel, less traffic, quieter neighborhoods, and a pace that a lot of families prefer. I'd describe it on a good, better, best scale. Blue Springs is in the better category. They've added some major shopping areas in the last 10 years or so. Lee Summit, it's in the best category. It has the vibrant downtown, major shopping areas, and 2 brand new shopping areas that are coming to the area soon. Neither is wrong. It just depends on what stage of life you're in and what your day-to-day priorities look like. Who is this video for? If you're relocating to the Kansas City metro area and trying to narrow down your search, this video just did half the work for you. If you're a family weighing schools versus budget, you now have the data to make that call. If you're an investor looking where to put capital, the growth numbers speak for themselves. Who should look elsewhere? If you already know you want downtown Kansas City, neither of these is your spot. If your budget is under $280,000, look at Raymore or Peculiar. Both offer solid value further south. That's the full comparison. Lee Summit or Blue Springs. Now you've got the numbers, the nuance, and the honest take. If you want a deeper dive into either city, check out my full guide on living in Lee Summit. I'll link it in the description. Drop a comment and tell me which city you're leaning towards. I read every one. Email me at info@movingwithmark.com if you want to talk specifics. Subscribe for more Kansas City suburb breakdowns, and I'll see you on the next one.